Alright guys, this is Sue Bell from ThemeZoom.com and NetworkEmpire.com, and we're doing we're doing a webinar this afternoon. I think the screen will unfreeze here in a second. We're doing a webinar here this afternoon to give you an idea about how you can approach customers, or how you can do that initial interview with potential customers or potential clients and sell them on your services. So the concept that we're going to look at today is metal recycling. I'm just starting to draw with metal recycling, and I'm deleting all of these other terms because they're not actually the idea of metal recycling. Recycled metal is the same idea, so I'm going to leave that. I'm going to delete all the others and then sally forward. And so what it is that we're actually trying to set up here is a did my screen unfreeze now? It should have. It's flipped over to something new. It's not updating yet. Let me hit the show screen again then. There we go. All right. Thanks, guys. So, I lost my train of thought. Bummer. This is why I need Russell, so that I can keep my trains of thought going. So talk to me, guys, about what it is that your biggest challenge or your biggest friction questions are, the biggest pushback you get from potential clients. You go in, you try to sell them on your services. What's your number one stumper that your clients ask you, or that that tipping point comes in the conversation and you don't make the close? What's your the biggest thing that you wish you had, your biggest secret weapon that you wish you had? It's all quiet. So I'll talk again for a few minutes while something comes through. Oh, okay. If the sale moves too fast and value doesn't get built properly. Exactly. That's a good one. That's a really good one. So part of what this is going to do is help you demonstrate the value. One of the things that I find in particularly valuable is when you can lay reports out in front of them that they've never seen before, that explains the market in ways that they know to be true because they're in the market, but also provides additional information that they haven't had before, right? So, and then the other thing is to show them how much of the market they don't own. Those are the things that usually gets a CEO really salivating for something. Hopefully my screen is going to come back here in a second. Technical interestings today. Hang on a second. Lordy mama, my screen just went blank. I mean, if I push something over there, it's there. Ish, nas, ask. I think it's a memory issue. Should I get it? Alright, so this hasn't been drilled yet. Go ahead and drill it out. So what we're going to want along with this is a competitor out of this market. So Mike, do you have a competitor that we can pretend is going to be our client for today? It doesn't have to actually be a client. It can be a client's competitor, and we'll just pretend like we're going to talk to them and explain to them how excellent. Alright, so we have to do the drill first. While we're doing the drill, let me open up a second tab, log back in. And I'm going to have the white paper start to drill out at the same time. And then just get things really interesting. And let's look up inudo.com. So this was the competitor that he suggested, intonu.com. All right. So I'm looking just to get an initial impression of their site. So if I'm going to pick up the phone here in a couple hours, or if I'm going to actually walk into their office in a few hours and have a face-to-face with these guys, I need to know a little bit about how they're approaching their industry, obviously. So I would look through their site. I'd take a look at how they're addressing the problems and what solutions they're presenting. It looks like they cover. Now, I don't know anything about this industry. I'm absolutely, completely ignorant, so it's a great demo. All right, so I can gauge from there, just from what they deem is most important across their menu here. Environmental compliance is a big thing for them, which I would take a few minutes and look into what environmental compliance with metal recycling is, what it's all about, what's in the news right now. I'd look at each one of these landing pages just to see, wow, not a lot of content. These are not sub-pages. Let me just go back for a second. They don't have any PageRank. They don't have any Alexa. This is probably a brand new site. Well, it's either a brand new site or it's just not. Page ID equals 20. Is this brand new? Yeah, less than a year old. That's the site we're on. Non-ferrous metals. Is this your site, Mike? I'll be kind if it is. Okay, good. He said he didn't design it. All right. So, okay, so typically the companies that are in industries like this, they're completely absorbed in what it is that they're doing. They've probably got a whole bunch of content. He says, mock them, I do. Okay, good. So, there we go. That way I can see the comments a little bit more. Good. So, so they're probably like full on in what it is that they do, and they haven't put too much thought into their site. This would just be my guess, because it's just, they probably have white papers lying around. They probably have a lot of content in their office that could be put onto their website, but they haven't done it. And that's clearly going to be hurting them. If this site's a year old and it still doesn't have PageRank squat, then clearly there's a lot of work there that can be done. So the other thing that I wanted to do over here is I want to take a look at the trends. Trends doesn't always, I might have to resort to another browser. It doesn't seem to, oh yeah, there we go. All right, so not surprisingly, we can see that metal recycling is an upwardly moving trend as the world becomes a little bit more conscious of the fact that it can't keep doing what it's doing without changing a few things. And that's actually what I really wanted was the one that gives me the synonym as well. If I come in here and do Google Trends, then I can see both of these terms. Fascinating. So recycled metal isn't really... When the line looks like that, it indicates that there's not too much going on. So... Interesting. All right. So this is truly finished. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to... actually, I should sort by TSMV, just to see what the top and lower levels of this thing are. I wonder why Metro... That really seems odd to me that Metro came back with such a strong... It's going to have a strong Larry theme relevance to show up, but it's also got a fairly strong co-occurrence, and that just amazes me. So then as I look down the list, not a bad market. If I look out here, view all themes for this cluster, I can see the averages. So the average cost per click in this entire theme is $6. And so now I'm going to probably pick something else to drill into while I dig into this a little bit deeper. Let's just look at what's cost per clicky. What is this industry bidding on the most? Scrap car recycling. Interesting. So I tend to look at the keywords that are down to my main keyword just to see what kind of keywords are in there. Because at this point, I'm literally learning about this market. I don't know anything about it. Metro Atlanta, fascinating. Mike says a few of the big guys are in Metro Atlanta. Okay. All right. Let me just see if Russell ever came on. Hang on a second. No. Cool. All right, so car recycling, is that stuff that they do too? Electronics recycling seems to be like a much more ferrous, plastics, other miscellaneous. Appliances, automobiles. So they do automobiles as well. And that fascinates me because of the cost per click over here. Scrap car recycling. Can't imagine there's too many searches. There aren't. So let's look by searches. Let's see where the traffic is. Now we have an idea of where the money is, so now I want to see where the traffic is. So, scrap metal prices, recycling centers. Scrap metal prices and recycling centers. So since that's where the traffic is, what that says to me is when people are looking for stuff, they want to know what price they can get. They're interested in what they can sell, what they have for. And they want to know, when you type in recycling centers, what that means to me is that they're looking for an address for the center itself. So where can they take it? Where can they take it, and how much can they get paid? So that's from the market perspective. Now I take it that these guys... Let me just read a little bit. Leading provider of recycled solutions and services within the Southeast. Proudly serving and working with small and large commercial businesses, demolition contractors, general contractors, other recycling facilities, and the general public. So that's interesting. They're B to B, but they also put the general public in there at the end, so B to C. Customer-focused strategy, personalized assistance, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So the other thing I'm going to try to do over here, let's go to Pain Finder, and I want to type in exactly the same keyword. Actually, I might just type in recycling, because Pain Finder really likes broad terms best. We'll try both. Okay. So I didn't really come up with another keyword that I wanted. Let me try that. I want to do, I think I want to do, so if I look here, scrap metal prices and recycling centers, this is following the traffic. The traffic here is like 4 times bigger, and the cost per click is twice. So if I'm looking for paying, it's going to be more along the scrap metal prices. People are more interested in their money than they are in location. So, so I want to click into that, scrap metal price, scrap prices, scrap metal. I'll take them all, but I'm only going to take scrap metal prices as a theme-defining keyword. Do you guys know the difference? I probably haven't gone into this. You guys might not have seen a webinar yet. Who doesn't know the difference between a theme-defining synonym and a keyword generation? All right, good. So we had this idea. Thinking if I have a diagram. I don't have a good one. We had this idea that in order to generate more keywords, we would use synonyms. So we use these synonyms to go out and scrape more pages off of competitors to collect a bigger pile of keywords. And then it was like, okay, so we have this huge pile of keywords. Now how do we decide what's relevant to actually include in the theme? And so obviously your seed term is relevant, but we also decided that you could identify what we call theme-defining synonyms that also are what your theme is about. So they can be actual synonyms, like linguistic synonyms, but oftentimes in a market you get another idea that's not linguistically considered a synonym, but from the market perspective it is a synonym. For example, Reese's is synonymous with peanut butter cups. So oftentimes it's brands, but it can be things beyond brands. So in this case, what we do is Google provides you still, not as much as they used to, but they still provide you some synonyms on the screen if you ask it to. And so we scrape those synonyms and we present those in a list. And you can say, okay, these terms are too broad, so I don't want them to actually define the theme, but it's okay to use those keywords to collect a bigger pile of words. So when we come back here in a second, I'll show you exactly what I mean by that. Good, here we go. So in this case, scrap metal prices, this is the theme that I actually want. And the only other thing that's really synonymous with that idea is scrap metal price. So I'm going to make that synonymous. These other ideas, scrap metal, like that's huge compared to scrap metal prices, as you can see by the numbers of competing pages. So I just want to use these to generate more keywords, but I'm not going to actually use them to define the theme. Does that make sense? Anybody not understand that? Okay, good. All right. So I'm going to tell it that I'm done choosing what I'm doing, and I'm going to go ahead and drill into that. And while I'm drilling into that, let me bounce back to one of the other screens, competitive white paper, and I also want to be looking at the ranked domains. Alright, so the ranked domains screen. I love this screen. This is my favorite screen, and this is where you really start to tell your client what's what. This is your top competitors for this particular theme, and this is ranked by what we call ORV, yearly ORV. ORV is the organic rank value. So this is basically the amount of traffic that's generated organically multiplied by the pay-per-click, the maximum pay-per-click bid. It gives you a value, but the idea behind this value is that if somebody is willing to pay this amount of money for a keyword, so much for a click on a keyword, they have to be making a profit above and beyond that click. So assuming that you're in the same industry as the person who's doing that bidding so that you've got comparable products, you should be able to make money off of that, over and above that too. So what this indicates is a real value in terms of gross sales, right? Your gross sales should be enough more than this that you're actually netting a reasonable profit on the other side of it. So this is in order of yearly ORV, this list, and as you see down here, this little been too long since my cup of coffee. I can't remember what kind of graph this is, but this little thumbnail graph. Oh, there we go, thumbnail graph. This tells you, if you read it from right to left, where the most expensive keyword is, from left to right, where the most expensive keyword is on the left and the least expensive keyword is on the right. So I don't know. Let me see if I can blow my screen up. Hang on a second. Yeah, there we go. All right, so you can see there's a keyword in front of this keyword that they rank for. You can tell that they rank really, really well for the second most expensive keyword, and there's this little teeny blip over here. They're a one keyword wonder company, okay? They have a handle on one single keyword, probably across both Yahoo and Google, and not really too much else to speak of. And it's not even the most expensive keyword. These guys down here, recyclingme.com, they're much better in terms of ranking for more keywords, but clearly they don't have quite as much ranking as these guys, or they would have a higher ORV. So let me just click into this for a second and show you what I'm talking about. These guys are ranking. This is ordered by what their real ORV is. They're ranking position 1 for Google, position 2 for Yahoo for scrap metal prices. They're ranking position 4 for scrap metal, position 12. That's probably the little blip further down the tail for scrap metal, because this is not a lot of money. Actually, this is probably the little blip. If we click on this, we'll get the same order that we had over in the other screen. Yeah, okay. So they do get, that is the blip at the beginning. This is the little blip further down the tail. And as you can see, they don't rank for too much else. All right, so let's go back and take a look at the other guys. These guys here, they're ranked for a lot more keywords. And you can see that, but they're ranked predominantly on Yahoo and not so much on Google. In fact, their rankings on Google are pathetic. So so they're not going to have nearly as much traffic as they would if they were on Google, because Google still, obviously, it's got 70%, I think, still, of the search engine traffic. So you can see what their yearly ORV is here. Now, where it really gets fun, let's just see if these guys are here anywhere first. Oops, that's too much. All right, they're not on the screen, so they didn't even register on the Richter scale. However, I can rank a new domain. All right, so this is where it gets to be so much fun. It's just so unfair. So I'm going to put that in. That's going to drill. We'll give it a minute. We'll come back. That's still at 71%. All right. we'll take a look at the white paper. Let's take a look at where the competition actually sits. This is looking, on the other screen that we were on just a minute ago, with the ranked domain screen, that's looking at all of the interesting, let me just define terms for a second. Return to the theme. Come on. Okay. So, gosh, I shouldn't have had that beer mic. That's all I can say. All right. So, the keywords down here are interesting. These keywords made a cut. And Krakken, because it looks at the market, is it's looking for keywords that have an amount of cost and traffic that are substantial. So it bases the idea of substantial on whatever the parent theme is. So we've got a $7 per click parent theme, and we've got a healthy amount of TSMV and a reasonable sized phrase match competing pages. So this is what it defines life as being. Like, this is the norm that it's looking for, and it goes and it looks for a percentage of keywords for about 10 to 15 keywords that are on the same level, so in the 1 to 10 million category, and then it looks for a few keywords that are in, you can see here, above the 10 million category, and then it'll find a few keywords that are below the million category. And out of each of those ranges, it's looking for high TSMV and high co-occurrence and high theme relevance. So that's how it defines interesting. If you want a list of keywords that include keywords that aren't as interesting but are still important, I don't know that I want to use the word important because important is actually a different thing. They're still valuable. There's a good word for it. That would be this list. So these guys are valuable. The short list is interesting. And these keywords up here in the bubble, we call them important. And the reason that they're important is that they're the ones that really stand out. We can only, like in a graph, you can only have so many bubbles, although some of the graphs get pretty full. So, so the parameters required to get in the graph above are even tighter. They have to be more important. They have to be like the defining keywords in terms of TSMV, or they can spike. They can have a huge relevance, a huge cost per click, a huge search volume, but somehow, and they've still got to have, they still have to meet minimums in some of the other areas, but somehow they have to be of a particular nature where it's just like, hey, wow, you should really be aware of these keywords. These keywords are really important to that seed term that you defined, or whatever your theme defining keywords are. These keywords are really important to those terms, one or more of those terms. So this is a way for you to look really quickly and say, okay, sheet metal, scrap metal buyers, Chicago metal recycling. Interestingly enough, Chicago came up where Atlanta didn't. I find that fascinating. Although you've got Metro, so maybe Metro's the indicator for Atlanta, and you can see then Chicago's like smaller than that. If that's the case, I'd have to dig a little bit deeper, but I'm taking your word on that, or at least inferring from what you said. So what Metro in the corner means is this is like an ancestor. So like these keywords are on the same level, what we were talking about in terms of the size of the conversation. I look at competing pages as the conversation level. So where you've got this at 2 million, this is going to be, these guys are going to be roughly on that same level of competing pages. This is going to be 10 times that amount. So it's going to be somewhere in the 20,000. Let's just look, sheet metal. Yeah, 20 million, sorry, 20 million level. And then this is going to be a whole other level up above that. So it's probably, yeah, 705 million pages. So this is, and this is like this is at the market segment level. This is going to be at the market category level, and Metro is going to be up at the market level. So that just kind of gives you a visual indicator of the conversations, how the conversations break out in layers of massiveness. All right, so back at the ranch for a minute. We were looking at the competitive analysis screen. So what this, what you're looking at when you look at, this is probably done drawing, right? Where are we? Here we go. When you're looking at back here on the ranked domain screen, what you're looking at is are all of the keywords that are interesting and important. Okay, they show up on that first screen. When you're looking at the competitive white paper, you're just looking at that synonymic net. So whatever your parent theme, your seed keyword, and any theme-defining synonyms, that's what you're going to see back here. So this gives you like the other view. This is just like your seed term view, where your ranked domains is your entire theme view. All right, so as I look down here, what this tells me is I've got page rank 3, page rank 4, page rank 6. Right? This is simple because there was only one term that we picked. We didn't have any theme-defining synonyms. So, so position 1, position 2, position 3, position 4, page rank 3, 4, 6, 4. The fact that this is a page rank 6 on this page means to me they're not as much about this theme of metal recycling as the pages around it. Otherwise, it would outrank, right? Like if this were completely about the same theme as these other pages, then it would be sitting on top. So in order to rank, in order to play above the fold for this particular theme, for this keyword actually, you're going to need page rank 3, page rank 4, right? Probably a page rank 4 to really hit the number 1, to ensure you're going to hit that number 1 position. Same thing with this 5. This isn't going to be, if you look at that page, it's not going to be as strongly themed about this topic as the other pages. Now just to get on the front page, clearly you got some things that are undefined here. You got page rank 2 and page rank 3. So you could make it onto the front page with a page rank 2, but if you really want to make sure you get that, you nail that number 1 spot, you're going to need a page rank 4. All right, so now you have your first key piece of information. You've got an idea of what it's going to cost. If you're seasoned, you've got an idea of what it's going to cost to get this website, this potential website, from a PR nothing to a PR 4. Okay, so that's our first interesting piece of information. If you're not seasoned, I'll show you over in Domain Web Studio in a second how to figure that information out. So this is where it just gets unfair. Let's come back here a second. Return to theme. I'm going to come back here into the ranked domains. And, all right, so this is where we were. This gives you a view of the market. Now, I have to say, I don't put nearly as much emphasis on inbound links as I used to, because there's just not enough companies out, or enough places out there where you can get a decent inbound link report that doesn't cost you an arm and a leg. So, so this is to be taken with a grain of salt, but it does give you kind of an idea. And what this is are deep links along the side and the percentage of keywords that are ranked across the top. So you got this person here, and it doesn't have a hover over, which is slightly annoying, but you can back engineer it and figure out who it is. This person here, they don't have, they're not an authoritative site. The larger the sphere, the more competing pages there are on the site. So this is not an authoritative site, but they rank for more keywords. They rank for 80% of the keywords, and they've got most nearly all of their inbound links are deep links. So this is your biggest competitor, right? Most of your really competitive sites, the guys that have got really large sites, they don't rank for even 50% of the keywords. Most of them are way down here in the corner. So what this says to me, if you've got a bunch of really big, heavy spheres up here in the upper right, it's an incredibly competitive market, and the price of entry is going to be really high. This is kind of a nice spread, so this is going to be medium, not too hard. You got most of your competitors are clumped down here in the corner, so it's not going to be that hard of a market to take on the grand scheme of things, right? And then this pie chart tells you, it gives you a really nice visual really quickly of who owns the market and how much they own. So this gives you the same information down here, but it's numerically related. So this is a great thing. You can actually grab this image, copy it, and throw it into PDF that you're going to present to your client, right? You can do that with all the images on here. You can't do it with Google Trends, but you can do that a different way with Trends. And so this gives me a really nice visual of being able to say, okay, my only two real competitors in this theme are Metal Prices and Recycling Me. Now, when we drilled into the potential client, right, and we take a look at this, it's just a joke. He's not registered anywhere in the top 100 for any of these keywords. So, okay, we can say, hey, you know, it's a new site, it's only been up for a year, and they clearly haven't put too much time, energy, or money into their website. So, you know, we can dig a little bit deeper. We can find some of the longer tails in the market, and we can throw in their site again and see if they rank. Now, the fact that they've got a PR0 on their homepage, I don't think they probably have too many rankings on any keyword that's going to be worth anything. That's just my gut hunch. So you're going to be able, what it is that you can do is you include a couple of these graphs. So you can either take an image of the entire sheet, or you can do an export of this information and just grab the images and create the report how you want to create it. But this shows them that sadly, of the $5,600,000 of revenue that is available within this theme alone, they own none of it. And that's usually a deal closer. You show them keywords. When I do the initial interview on the phone with them, I find out the keyword that their market is about, that they would really love to own, and I drill into it, because then when they see the whole keyword list that revolves around that market, they see keywords there that they want besides just the one keyword that they were talking about on the phone. And then I ask them what keywords they're currently targeting. Okay, so that's my next trick. Let's come back here for a second. You return to your theme. I ask them what keywords they're targeting, and if they've got more than 2 or 3, then I have them send them to me in an email. And you can actually, wait. Few themes for this cluster. That's what I'm looking for. You can do an import list and add a new import list, and we're just going to call this the name of the company. And let's just come up with a couple of keywords. Materials recycled. Be really nice if I could just give me that. Let's see what I can cut and paste into there. Not too bad. I don't believe in actually working hard. Well, I do, but, you know, only for the right reasons. Electronics doesn't make any sense to me, so I'm going to say electronics, recycled electronics, something like that. And probably recycled plastics. Other miscellaneous, completely stupid term. All right. Okay, so that's the list of keywords that they're currently targeting as pulled off of their menu. And then if they've got some other keywords, then I throw them in there. And go ahead and hit the submit button, and then Krakken will come back and tell us about those keywords in a minute. Let me just think if I had another thought along this line before I go any further. Usually what happens like 99% of the time is that the keyword lists that they give me that their current SEO company is targeting for them are completely worthless keywords, right? So I put them up side by side with the keywords on the theme, and it's just like, you know, these keywords are worth money. Like these are worth some serious money, like 4,000, 40,000, 400 million, all right, 4 million. And those keywords are probably going to be worth $20, $30, $50. Okay, so we have another drill, another theme that we can talk about for a second. Now, interestingly enough, scrap metal prices is also a market segment, but we're in money now, right? So, like, my anticipation for this is that, and I can already see it's actually worth more money. The price per click is probably going to be higher. Your average TSMV is probably going to be higher. And you've got all these things up at the top that have to do with pricing metals, the real high-level money terms. Okay, so any comments? Just make sure I haven't lost anybody. Everybody with me so far? Have I gone off on any trails that nobody's followed me down their paths yet? Let me do it this way. Guys, give me a 1 if you're with me. If anybody's still there. I think everybody's out selling. Excellent. All right. And let me just see if Russell's hopped on yet. Oh, Russ is here. Good. Let me make him so that he can all right. Hey, Russell, how you doing? Okay. I'm sure his thing will unmute here in a second. All right. Okay, good. Everybody's on the same page with me, so let's just take a look at another theme. All right, so I sorted this out. Are you there, Russ? Not yet. Okay. Sorted this by TSMV so that we can just take a look at the most expensive terms right up at the top. Metals, obviously, because that's a whole bunch of things other than recycling. Scrap metal prices, which was one of our, you can see the little triangle there, which means it's, if it's blue, then it's your parent term. You've got the little cheat up here at the top, the key at the top that tells you what's what. And if it's got a pyramid beside it, then it was a theme-defining synonym. So you know these are the two things that define this theme. Oh, no, I take that back. It puts a triangle beside the ones that were just KGO as well. All right, never mind, I lied. All right, so metal, price, those kinds of ideas. A lot of these things in yellow, they're just going to be too broad to really be particularly meaningful. So I'm just looking at the things that are not yellow, because yellow are ancestors, right? They're not actually, ancestors aren't included in these prices up here because they're considered to be too big, too broad to be relevant to this particular market. So, so as I'm looking at things, I'm looking at scrap metal, copper prices. All right, so that's something that I think I knew, that copper is like one of the most expensive metals to get recycled. Lead's way down here. I'm also really fascinated by how quickly this drops off. You've got $4 million for scrap metal prices, $2 million here, $1 million there. 6 figures, and then by the time you get halfway down the theme, you're no longer in six-figure land. Interesting. All right. The thing that I found interesting there was the fact that I've got a $6,000 term on this list. that for some reason Krakken deemed a keyword with such small value to be that important. But it's also scrap metal price. It's a long tail, right? Scrap metal prices. It's close to being. All right. So it's probably relevance that got it there. All right. So let's just take a look at the ranked domains. And let's just, all right, when I look at this is scattered like all over creation. You got a couple of guys up here in this quadrant. Metal prices, weren't these the same people over here? Oh, we've got that back. We'll get back to that in a second. If I just look back here at ranked domains, aren't these, yeah, metal prices, recycling me. So you get these same guys showing back up again. Now, and then you get a bunch of guys that kind of sort of ranked all over the place. And my guess is, yeah, these guys aren't anywhere on the page. So we could go ahead and throw them into rank a new domain, and then you've got a whole other list. So then if you wanted to massage it a little bit, you could combine both lists, blah, blah, blah. Let's go for a minute and view the themes for the cluster, because this starts to get a little bit more interesting now that we've got two different themes. This pie chart is now an overview of both themes. Keywords are only included once. As you can see, what we were suspecting, metalprices.com, they're the leader amongst all of the keywords. So these are looking at the important and interesting keywords on this list. And recycling me, it's just like recycling me. Anyway, whatever the name of that domain is, it's got the next chunk of pie, and NASDAQ's got the next chunk of pie, which I would imagine isn't a competitor. And then it pretty much fragments. And so once you've got, this is going to give you the organic market share, market value for all of the themes that you drill into. So if you spend a few minutes and drill into maybe like 6 themes, then this starts to become really pretty meaningful. And if you find that it fragments too much, then you can come up here and click on synonymic net. What synonymic net is going to show you is just the parent themes and the theme defining synonyms. So let me just click over to that for a minute. You saw a second ago that our total search market value was 16 million. Now it's down to 6 million. So these are just our 3 theme defining keywords that we're looking at. And look at how this changes. Like this, out of that $6 million, like that's what, more than a third of the money that we were just looking at. But now that you're not looking at all those other keywords, metalprices.com just like shoots head and shoulders above everybody. So it'll also show you, it changes all these values down here. And as you click through all of the screens, everything is now in synonymic net mode. So if I go into, let me just click into one of these. The values that it shows up here now are just for the 2 keywords that are theme defining. And you can see what they are at this juncture. Those are the only keywords that show up. And if I go into the ranked domain screen, then it's only going to show me information about those 2 keywords. So these are the guys that rank for just those 2 keywords. And there's no thumbnail because it's just a couple keywords. All right, so and this is a sticky thing. Once you set it, it stays like that for the entire session until you unset it. All right, so I want to come back here. Now we imported their keywords a few minutes ago. And you can see these are the keywords that it looks like they're targeting based on their menu. And you can see that the TSMV here is really not terribly impressive. So this is the other thing you do. You set down their keywords that they're targeting next to the list of keywords that you've pulled back. Return to the theme. Next to the list of keywords that they could be targeting. And you look at the difference in the price. All right. Any questions so far? How you doing, Russ? know I heard you. All right, he's being very quiet. Geo-target. So,
I'm here. Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you now. There you are.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
So Mike's asking, how would you geo-target the site, the silos? Oh, you mean when you go to build out silos? All right. Great question. I'm actually going to do an entire video series on that, but I'll give you an idea here in a minute. I'm going to grab, I don't want to grab prices, I want to grab this one. And oh, Pain Finder. No. Projects. Let me find my other pane. Let's see if there's any pane for metal. Oh, recycling. That's what it was. So I would want to look over this list before I go in to talk to them. This is sorted by the number of views, which is supposed to, it's one way of looking at what the interest is, right? The other way of looking at what the interest is the number of followers. So how does recycling work? It's interesting. That's got 11 followers. And that's talking about like wood recycling. That's not what we're talking about. Ziploc bags, not really what we're talking about. So my bottles and cans have to be perfectly clean. Universally collect and sort garbage. It's still pulling back some data. Yeah, it's only at 83%. So, interesting. Very much B2B kind of questions on here. All that's really going to do for me is maybe put a couple of article concepts in my head. This hasn't really like pulled out anything that I could use. At least it hasn't really highlighted too much to me in terms of like B2B type questions, but then you don't always find that on Quora. Interesting. All right, so let me come over here to Network Empire for a moment. Now, the other thing that I do while I've got that initial phone consult with a guy is I find out his basics. I find out what his average sale is, how much money he makes on his average sale. I find out what his conversions are on his site, if he has any clue at all. And if he doesn't, then we'll just go with some standards. Alright, so I don't know what these are yet, so I'm just going to leave them alone for a second. Backlink unit costs. If I'm going to show him this data, then I want to put in what I charge and not what I pay. So instead of 25 bucks, let's say that it's, let's say I double everything. And so this is conversion potentials. And this is like, what do I anticipate that the click-through rate is going to be if I'm ranked #1 for a keyword? And if I think about this for a minute, like, let me just come back here and look at, let me kill this. Let me come back here and look at my target keyword for a minute. And I'm just going to look at how many AdWords ads there are. Because the more ads there are, the more of a money keyword that is actually going to be. And it's interesting. So it's a very much, obviously, it's going to be very much a local market because you're hauling your metal to somewhere, right? And there are a lot of ads. And so I think my click-through rate, if I have something engaging up here at the top, my click-through rate is probably going to be pretty decent. So, yeah, probably 25%, just to be a little bit on the conservative side. And then your conversions, like you get somebody on your site, how many of those people are actually going to bring metal to the recycling center? Yeah, 1%, might be lower than that. I mean, just because they have to actually haul it, they might decide to call somebody who hauls. So it depends on if your client, like what are the pains. That would be one of the immediate pains now that I stop to think about it. Like, do I have to take the stuff? Do they come pick it up? So, and yeah, okay. So affiliate, if you're actually going to be an affiliate for this company and you're going to create a site, you're going to put up a site and actually sell to them, then you'd want to put that in. But this is client, so we're going to ignore that for right now. Average profit, how much do they actually make off the average sale? Well, now they're targeting B2B predominantly, so I'm going to say that they probably do a fair amount of business. They probably, let's say that their profit per sale is like $500 because they got a contractor that's bringing a bunch of stuff in. And what's their annual budget? This looks like a really small company, so probably if I can manage to get a contract out of them for like $500 a month, I'd probably be doing pretty well. So let's say $6,000 a year. Total. Can I use that figure? Is it okay? Ooh, sweet. All right. So, so Mike's saying that their actual average sale is $2,500. So, or their budget's $2,500. So times, come on, what the heck did I do? Times 12. So that's $30,000 they're willing to spend on a site. And their total financial. Do you have an idea how much revenue they want to make off their site? What their dream is? All right. I'll just put in something for now. Okay. So let's do that. That's reasonable. So that's actually very doable. I put $30,000 in. You should be able to get $120,000 out. All right. So we're going to set up a site profile. And so now I want to import. Wow, pretty impressive. Not bad. This came out of Voma. I'm going to browse. I'm going to have my humongously long list of downloads. There we go. Metal recycling.csv. Open that bad boy and import those keywords. All right, so I said at the beginning that if you were seasoned with a PageRank 4, you've already got an idea of what it is you're going to do. I realize now I didn't set that. So let's just come in here. We default to PageRank 3, so in case you forget to set it, it's not set to 0. But because we said, we really need a PageRank 4 to guarantee. And then if you want to add a buffer, that's what this is for. It's specifically for buffering out the estimated costs for keywords. so that you don't get caught flat-footed with your clients. So if you're in an particularly stiff market, or you think for some reason, like over there on the, let me just bounce up to this for a second. Sometimes on this competitive white paper, I see stuff I can't explain. So like if I'm looking here at a page rank 3, and if this were, let's say, a page rank 6, let's say this one was actually up here, and I went and I looked at this page, and it seemed like this page was about this particular theme, and so then it doesn't make any sense to me why this is a page rank 6 that sits below a page rank 3. I don't know why this page rank 3 is as low as it is. And then I would go with, I need to be a page rank 6, or I would at least put in a fudge factor to bounce my costs up a little bit, right, so that I don't get caught holding the bag. And even then, these are estimates, right? Like Google's changing their algorithms all the time. It's not something that you can actually hang your hat on, but it gives you an idea. And so for guys that haven't done too many sites and they don't really have a clue what it is that you need, this gives you some kind of a ballpark. All right, so scrap metal prices. Let's just look at this for a second. Scrap metal prices, your search volume is at 48,000. Your estimated conversions, based on what we just said our estimated conversions were going to be, we're going to get 120 conversions off of that keyword. Now, it's going to take 12 months to rank, and the suggested backlinks are 112. These are not like magic submitter backlinks. These are page rank 1 and page rank 2 backlinks. They're serious backlinks, okay? And then you're going to want 27 supporting articles. So when I look at that and I see I need 27 supporting articles, that means that this is going to be, if I want that keyword, if that's a keyword that I actually want to target, then that's going to be a silo, because otherwise it's going to be, if you put it down at the category level, it's going to be a really big category. So does it become a silo or does it become a category? Like that depends on how important it is to the USP. It depends on there wasn't too much in Pain Finder that gave me any kind of an indicator, but when we were looking at the searches, that was one of the most searched for terms. So my guess is when you're looking at the B2C market, that's one of the most important keywords on the B2C side. So so I might consider having an entire site dedicated to consumers and a different site dedicated to contractors, just depending on how they want to work that. But just know that that's going to be, if you don't have 112, sorry, that's backlinks. If you don't have 27 suggested articles, if you don't meet that 27 suggested articles, then you're going to have to put in a lot more backlinks. So let's say that when it comes to metal prices, you've only got like maybe 5 different articles. Like you've got prices for cars, prices for copper, prices for a couple of other things. Then you're shy like 20 supporting articles on there. So you're probably going to have to look at 20 supporting articles. You're going to need at least 80 more backlinks, somewhere in that ballpark. So that's going to put you up closer to 200 backlinks that you're going to need. So that's going to increase your cost, because the articles on site are a lot cheaper than the inbound links. All right, so that just kind of gives you an idea when you look at there. But the cool thing that you can look, when you take this into, if you want to take this into your client, this is one of those, if he doesn't sign right there, you walk back out the door with this, okay? Because this is actual estimations. They can actually look and see how much revenue they can look to make. Now, the cost is the estimated cost that this is going to, each one of these keywords is going to cost you in terms of creating the content and the backlinks. And then the revenue, this is once they're actually ranked. So this is going to be 12 months down the road before they start seeing that revenue. I got a couple questions coming in. Hang on a second. Do more articles offset the other way too, meaning fewer suggested backlinks will be needed? Yes, that's true. If you have more content on site, you will need fewer backlinks. And more content on site is probably the quickest way to increase your rankings. The TTR is a great way to set clients' expectations. We've scaled these down. I can usually, if I'm focused, I can usually rank for these in about half the amount of time that we estimated here. We specifically padded it out because we knew that there would be beginners and to manage client expectations. So let me just show you something really fast here. Like, let's just take a quick screen grab of where this is at right now. And I'll set that off to the side for a second. And let me just go here into Business Rules and Filters and pop this up to PageRank 6 and show you what this does. All right, so first of all, you'll notice the list of keywords that are actually profitable, because at the moment we don't show a keyword that's not going to turn you a profit, right? That doesn't meet your business rules. So the list of keywords is much shorter than it was a few minutes ago. And if we put scrap metal prices up next to scrap metal prices, you'll see that the cost of the keyword's gone from $5,600 to $8,400. Your ROI, once you get there, obviously is going to be the same. But the suggested supporting articles has gone from 27 to 41. Your suggested backlinks has gone from 112 to 168. Your time to rank, that hasn't crossed a significant threshold yet, which seems a little weird, but all right. So that actually seems a little weird. I'm going to have to go in and check that, make sure that that's still adjusting based on PageRank. Okay, so you asked me earlier about how to do local. So what I would do, we have a spreadsheet here for a second. Let me just go find that and open that with my Office calculator. I haven't done this in a while. I don't know how well this is going to work just right out the box, but this is informal. So what I would do is insert a column, and I'm going to insert a column. I actually don't care about any of these. I'm going to insert dang, I just wanted to clear the column. Alright, I'm going to insert like Mesa. Right, and I'm going to grab this. I promised Russell that this would be something that we would put in our keyword tools here shortly, so a tumbler so that you don't have to do it manually, right? And then over here, I think you can do, oh, if somebody knows how to do this, don't be afraid to type it into the little box thingy, because I'm realizing as I get here that I'm not 100% certain how this goes. But it's something like, I want a text string. Let's see if it's in the little thingy-dingy. I might have to turn off the recording here for a minute, because that could be. So I want to do A1 plus B1. Something like that. Let's see if that worked. Nope, that wasn't quite it. Oh, I know where I have that. Wait a minute. I actually have that in the members area. Ha. Here in the local, dominate your local search niche thingy-dingy. Keywords. I'm pretty sure. Here we go. This is what I'm looking for. And I think it works in Calc. Let me just see. Ah, it must just work in, either I didn't do it right. Oh, B2. Let's try that. There we go. That's it. Alright, so in this way I get the list of keywords with my my locale, right? And so then I can just grab this list and I can go import it. Now I can import it either into TLKT or into Krakken, but for the moment I'm just going to import it here into return to the theme. Actually, I want to return to the cluster view. And I want to do an import list. And I'm going to add a new import list, and this is going to be Mesa specific. Pop my keywords in. Submit. Bob's your uncle. Now, probably what's going to happen here is most of these keywords are going to come back with no cost and no traffic because Krakken is broad match. And that's the reason why we've got TLKT, which is local. So let me just run over there for a second. Which is local, which is, let me back up. I should have had coffee. Where's the beer? Pass me another beer. So Krakken is phrase match and TLKT is broad match. So where there isn't any data, sometimes on phrase match, oftentimes there is on broad match. And even so the data is not as precise, having some kind of an idea of how many searches there are is better than none. Alright, so, the truth of the matter is I'd probably drill into something specific, but I really don't care. I don't care what the Larry is. I'm just looking for cost and traffic. So, here in the column I can show options, and there's this thing that says, yeah, we can do this. Was imported. Keyword. Come on. Keyword upper, lower, upper, Google searches, competing pages, LSI, basis, uses term count. I feel like I just walked into the Twilight Zone. Oh, that's because I'm in the column code. Let me look in the filters. That's going to be helpful. Keyword. Keyword is seed, keyword is long tail, partially diverse, generated, imported. There we go. Keyword was imported. Apply this filter. It's going to give me keywords. Dang it. Alright, I want to find a project where I haven't imported anything yet. You can tell I do this a lot, huh? Just grab something. Alright, no imported keywords. So we're going to import a list here. Alright. So now we have these drills running. Let's see where we're at. That wasn't the one. That wasn't the one. This one. Here we go. Alright, so this is pathetic, right? There's just not too much going on in Mesa in terms of cost and traffic, pay-per-click for phrase match. So I can import these keywords, and it'll give me competing pages, but it'll tell me that absolutely none of the keywords are valuable. Now, if I get the same story over here on the last keyword tool, if it doesn't come back and tell me that there's anything worth anything, then I will do my analysis 100% at the national level in terms of looking at these keywords and figuring out which keywords are the biggest bang for the buck. And know, just like you just know that if there's 266 searches on a national level, there's 1,627 searches on a national level for this term, that there's going to be, this is per day, right, that there's going to be some searches at the local level unless you're in an incredibly teeny tiny town. So any of the major metropolitan areas are going to have a substantial percentage of that 1,600. Like, let's say that 1,600, we could actually, like, if you really want to get granular with this, you can take it over to Google Trends and throw it in and get an idea of what the metropolitan areas are that support that keyword term. So like if we click, fascinating, United States is 3 for that. So let's click into that. So by population, Michigan is the most recycling aware, right, for this particular term, scrap metal prices. Followed by Ohio, followed by Indiana. So these are by state. So then let's say that we click into, what were you talking about? Georgia, right? Georgia's not even on the list. That's fascinating. Let's click into Ohio. Not enough search volume to get the individual cities in Ohio. Go back, click into Michigan, Detroit. That figures Detroit. Right, car built, exactly. So you can get an idea, like if you want to look at cities and how they break out, you can get a little bit more of an idea perhaps in trends. Yeah, Mike is saying maybe the client thinks more highly of themselves than the rest of the country. Exactly. So back at the ranch, let's look at this. It's done drilling. And so you can see there are all of the keywords that we imported. And interestingly enough, even on broad match, there isn't too much going on. So, as I said, I did in May, so I probably should have done Atlanta, but you get the idea. I'm actually kind of surprised. Maybe I should have done Phoenix rather than Mesa. I've gotten the entire metropolitan area rather than just, but Mesa's pretty big. All right, so there's absolutely no data there for me to take and use. So I'm going to have to do all of my analysis. What I would probably do is, like Krakken's going to tell me there's nothing, right? It's not even going to pick up stuff. Even if I try to point it toward a locale, it's just going to completely laugh at me. So I'm going to have to do it by hand here in Network Empire Builder. And what I would do is I would have 2 projects, right? I'd have one project where I actually go through and I would map it out using the national-based terms, and then I would go back and I would add the locale. Once you get, let me just show you this for a second. Let's click on something first. Grab a few keywords, throw them over into my silos. I'm not thinking any thought here. I'm just like trying to show you this. And then when I come here to the blueprint, I can grab these the same way that I can grab them out of the spreadsheet. I can grab and paste them into a spreadsheet. Let me just see if I can do this fast. Show you what I mean. Insert a sheet. I don't care. Just insert the sheet, please. All right, so I've got my keywords here. I can delete the whole rest of this. I can add Georgia to the beginning of it and come up with my list of keywords. So I would go ahead and map the blueprint out based entirely on national data. Then I would come back and I would grab all of the keywords that I just mapped out. I'd put in the locales. I'd have, I'd go ahead and run them through one of the tools just so that I could re-import it easily without having to put all of the, actually I don't want to do that. Just go away for a second. Without having to actually manually put the data in. So I just like throw it in a tool, let it bring me back a bunch of zeros, go ahead and import that into another project, and then I'd literally have my one project open on one tab, and I'd build out my other project, my new project with the locale in the other tab so that it matched the decisions that I made on the national level. All right, so that's the quick and dirty of how I do a local-based thing. Any other questions? Do you feel like that helped you solve the problems? Did I go into enough detail on those screens that you guys can see how you would grab that data? Yeah, I'm going to post the replay. I'm hoping that they recorded despite the fact that one of my screens froze. So assuming that all went good, we'll post a replay. But do you feel like I covered everything? Is there anything else you guys want me to talk about? All right, good. Well then I declare it. Excellent. Excellent. Well, I declare it officially Beer 30 everywhere. You guys have an extra beer from me wherever it is that you're having a beer. And we'll see you guys next week. Have a wonderful weekend. Thanks a lot.